Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Erik Voss, and this is a breakdown of WandaVision Episode 6, a terrifying Halloween with Wanda's hex warping the whole world into a creepy clown maze the weekend could get lost in. Let's break down this episode shot by shot for all the visual clues and details that you might have missed and just try to help us figure out Wanda the is going on. Let's get started. And again, we gotta start with the previously on segment. It calls back the real MCU Pietro's death from Age of Ultron. It's the first of many examples this episode telling us that the Evan Peters Pietro is not actually a recast, as Marvel has done before, but that this guy is not Pietro. As the episode begins, we find ourselves in this early 2000s era with graphics, text, punk music, all inspired by Malcolm in the Middle.
Life is unfair.
Along with its trope of kids talking directly to camera. During the intro, Vision's newspaper has an ad for Westview Appliances' otherworldly deals and a flying saucer hovering overhead. This reflects the mentions of the lights visible over Westview in the newspaper last week and Vision's very first line in this series.
My wife and the flying saucers.
I see all of this as what Vision was intended to be by Hayward, an appliance that he hoped to weaponize against extraterrestrial threats.
Shifted away from manned missions and refocused on robotics, nanotech, AI, sentient weapons, like it says on the door. The world's not the same as you left it. Space is now full of unexpected threats.
Agnes has been added to the opening credits, wearing pants with naughty and rhinestones on the butt. Now, Agnes, of course, has always been playfully naughty, but even more in this episode, we are seeing her even greater, possibly villainous importance. Pietro has also been added to the credits as himself, as if to say these others are actors playing roles, but this guy is a celebrity guest star who's not playing the part of Pietro, but just kind of screwing around as himself. And who is that self? You probably know where I'm going, but we'll get there. The opening image of the episode depicts a ghost, and I actually think the alive or dead status of these Westview residents is now up for debate this Halloween. Billy wears a red cape and a blue headband, the wardrobe of Wiccan in the comics. Actually, you'll notice Wanda, Vision, Pietro, Tommy, they all match their comics counterparts with their Halloween costumes. The kids debate the true meaning of Halloween.
Halloween's a magical holiday, all about family, friends, and the thrill of getting to be someone else for a day.
Wrong. Halloween's about candy and scaring people, but mostly candy.
Yeah, the thrill of getting to be someone else for a day kind of sounds like what this mystery figure is doing as Pietro. He looks false because this is essentially a Halloween costume version of the real thing. Tommy's milk carton reads Maple Hill Organic Milk the way nature intended from pasture-raised cows. Definitely a step up from Bova milk in episode 2. Bova being the bovine genetic creation of the High Evolutionary who nursed Wanda and Pietro in the comics. These boys play Dance Dance Revolution on floor mats. Takes me back. And of course, my go-to track, Smile DK's Butterfly. Ay, ay, ay. You know, it could be connected to those baby mobile butterflies that Wanda brought to life. Oh crap, I'm becoming that meme. People keep tweeting me. Hey, by the way, if you want to extend this nerdy conversation, you can join us on New Rockstars' official Discord server by becoming a patron at patreon.com/newrockstars. During this, Billy wears these tiger slippers, kind of like that toy tiger we saw last week. No way they'd be able to hit the mat sensors hard enough in slippers. No wonder why they're both missing. Don't judge me. This was my primary cardio as a 12-year-old. Pietro snores on the couch, but as the boys talk about him, they use this great split focus technique. It keeps Pietro in focus in the foreground while the boys talk and focus in the background. But keep your eye on Pietro. He is awake, eyes open, actively listening, but continues to deceptively snore.
You scared? He's your uncle. Why would I be scared?
And Tommy says,
It's 4 o'clock in the afternoon and you're secretly afraid he's a vampire.
Billy is a telepath sorcerer like his mama, so he's likely onto something suspecting Pietro's dark supernatural nature. Because listen what Pietro playfully growls at them. Blood is thicker than water, meaning family bonds are the strongest. Notice how Pietro tries to replace Vision as a father figure.
Big guy is a conflict, twins need a father figure for the night. Don't sweat it, sis. I got the old XY chromosome.
Yeah, and Pietro did not like Vision punching him in the shoulder there. And then after Vision awkwardly kisses Wanda and then leaves, look at Pietro's face there. Yeah, these daddies are in competition. Now, Pietro mocks her Sokovian fortune teller costume.
Worse than the costumes Mom made us the year we got typhus.
Whoa, Whoa, flashback to Sokovia. I love these Soviet-era propaganda posters for rocket science and nuclear energy. Now, you could say maybe Pietro could be dressed like Nick Fury, Wanda like Black Widow, but I don't know. When these people were kids, neither Fury nor Natasha would be widely known. Also, Halloween is not really celebrated in Eastern Europe, so when Wanda doesn't remember this, it's probably because it never happened. Now, it's a joke in the context of a sitcom, but it is a lie in the context of Pietro. WandaVision argue and Billy tells us,
Mom and Dad have been not fighting, just like different.
Again, look at Pietro. He is looking over at him. He can perceive past the context of the sitcom reality because Pietro is not under Wanda's hex. Wanda even senses this. Notice how she locks the door after Vision leaves, something maybe that she felt like she should have done to keep Pietro out last episode, and it leads to this. Yeah, Pietro is not a calming presence here. He is bad news. He has a mom tattoo on his arm. Some are saying this could be for Multiverse of Madness. Some people actually thought it said HOM, but no, it is mom. How do I know? Because Evan Peters has his tattoo already. So can things that already existed before the script was written be Easter eggs? Sure. So Sword recovers the drone that Wanda threw at them, and this is stamped with Stark Industries. This is a piece of 80s weapon tech that the company used to make before Tony's change of heart. And like that Stark toaster, it is exactly the kind of Stark hardware that would have triggered Wanda's memory of that Stark bombshell that never exploded and traumatized her and Pietro. Hayward says,
Maximoff was never gonna negotiate with us. We take her out, this whole nightmare ends.
This is one of 2 mentions of the word nightmare this episode.
It's a pretty big leap from giving people nightmares and shooting red wiggly woos out your hands.
The Marvel demonic entity Nightmare is believed to be a possible villain of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness and possibly the big bad behind all of Westview here. I say possible, but Nightmare feeds off of people as they sleep. And as we saw from Wanda's exterior confrontation last episode, she is not asleep during all this, so I think we can rule out Nightmare, just because it's not as specific as those Grim Reaper sightings or the devil stuff. Hayward calls out Monica's insubordination.
Constantly advocating on behalf of superpowered individuals. Yes, I know your history with Carol Danvers. And all you people who left still have the luxury of optimism.
Yeah, it's made to sound like it's embarrassing to be associated with Captain Marvel, as if there was some incident before the blip, maybe some incident that explains why Fury was reluctant to summon Captain Marvel every other time Earth was under attack. Perhaps Captain Marvel was looked at as a pariah for prioritizing all these other worlds instead of Terra, C-53, Earth. So then they go trick-or-treating.
Unleash hell, demon spawn!
Whoa, unleash hell, demon spawn. You know I keep bringing up Mephisto, but this is why! In the comics, Wanda's children are actually revealed to be pieces of Mephisto's soul, demon spawn. And as I've been saying these past 7 days since finding that gray corpse arm in the mirror, this ain't Pietro. This is an imposter wearing a Pietro Halloween costume, just with a bit of stunt casting by Marvel using a Quicksilver from a separate film franchise. WandaVision might give us a multiverse, might give us mutants, but this guy is a red herring, a pickled red herring. And now this Mephisto has come to reclaim these children born with Wanda's magic so he can reap the benefits. And he's doing it by wearing the disguise of Wanda's dead brother. Wanda tests him here.
What was the name of that kid who was always trying to steal your boots? He had the skin thing.
Now you could see this as a nod to the facial scarring of Victor Von Doom. I don't know, maybe in the MCU he might hail from Sokovia instead of Latveria. I hope they do have Latveria though. I like these fake places. I love this. In the background, there's a dude with a Jason mask and a Freddy shirt. He's essentially a walking Freddy versus Jason. Nice. This dude started the scene chatting with the pirate and the jockey, but for the rest of the scene, he just kind of aimlessly stands by himself. That would be me. I'm bad with conversations. Though he is not as creepy as this hook-nosed figure behind Wanda later. Now, I thought this was a mannequin, but look down there. That is a human leg. This looks like someone pretending to be a mannequin, just waiting to pop out and scare people, but they never do, which is even scarier. Now, Pietro calls Westview Shangri-La, maybe a nod to the immortal Himalayan refuge founded by the Vision in the comics, but maybe just used generally to refer to James Hilton's Lost Horizon for the mythical Tibetan kingdom. Actually, that mention of Tibet is interesting, because I thought we're not allowed to mention anything that'll piss off China. If Tibet can be on Disney Plus, Mephisto can be on Disney Plus, my friends. But then they reference Top Gun and another title if you listen closely.
Yeah, kick ass.
I feel the need.
Force me. Ow!
Kick ass.
So Kick-Ass was a 2010 superhero movie in which Evan Peters co-starred with Aaron Taylor Johnson. And the way Wanda says it, it's almost as if she remembers seeing those two Pietros in the movie. Now this is weird. Herb reports back each of Pietro's vandalizations before they happen.
All the cannon has disappeared.
And then as some of the people get silly stringed, they're frozen. It's like they're already glitching, like the people on the other side of town. I'm telling you, Pietro does not abide by the rules of this hex. He is a virus in the machine, wreaking havoc. Herb asks,
Do you want something changed?
as we saw in episode 3, Herb seems to be a bit more aware of what is going on in Westview. Let's keep an eye on it. Meanwhile, Vision sees this woman stuck on a loop, setting up decoration. Behind her, her partner is also on a loop, but look at their motion. They have each been looped in post-production, but at different rhythms. You can actually see the dividing line in the frame where that split screen was layered in there. But it still seems unsettling because they CGI'd in a shadow for the husband that goes across that dividing line just to make it all feel like it's part of one shot, even though there's no light on him that would cast this kind of shadow. So that, plus this sad tear, just makes all this feel so unsettling, letting us know that something's inherently wrong here. But then this terrifying commercial for Yo Magic Yogurt. Now throughout these episodes, the commercials reflect a different stage of Wanda's trauma. And now this is Wanda starving emotionally, alone in the void. A claymation depiction of what Wanda was trying to convey to Pietro later in the episode. Wanda needs her magic to survive, or else she will rot into a corpse like her loved ones. So, like a vulnerable child, she keeps trying to feed on this magic, even when that magic is brought to her by a sharp-toothed outside predator. And notice this little boy has already eaten a fish. Earlier, Wanda threatened to turn Pietro into a pickled herring, and in the cutaway, they were given, what? A fish. So maybe for Wanda, a single fish could represent that kind of line between starvation and survival. Ooh, by the way, you know that credit card that you're afraid to look at to see what the balance is? If you've been avoiding your debt, it is time to confront it. Upstart can help you face it and finally pay it off. Upstart is the fast and easy way to get a personal loan to pay off your debt all online. Whether it's paying off credit cards, consolidating high interest debt, or funding personal expenses, over 500,000 people have used Upstart to get a simple fixed monthly payment. Upstart finds smarter rates with trusted partners because they assess more than just your credit score. With a 5-minute online rate check, you can see your rate upfront for loans from $1,000 to $50,000. Loan amounts will be determined based on your credit, but also your income and certain other information provided in your loan application. You can get approved the same day and receive funds as fast as 1 business day. So if debt is taking over your life, it is time to get a fresh start with Upstart. Find out how Upstart can lower your monthly payments today when you go to upstart.com/newrockstars. That's upstart.com/newrockstars. Don't forget to use our URL to let them know that we sent you. Just go to upstart.com/newrockstars. The Incredibles and The Parent Trap play at the cinema. Weird, since one came out in 2004, the other came out in 1998. They wouldn't be in the movie theater at the same time, but this is kind of like the 2013 Oz the Great and Powerful playing in the 70s era of Westview. The Incredibles is about a superhero family with powers taken almost directly from the Fantastic Four, but here paralleling this superhero family, the Maximoffs. And The Parent Trap is about twins trying to trick their parents into falling back in love, maybe kind of the way Westview is a parent trap for these parents of the twins. Pietro tells Wanda,
I'm just trying to do my part, okay? Come to town unexpectedly, create tension with the brother-in-law, stir up trouble with the Rugrats, and ultimately give you grief.
he did just kind of declare his purpose. He wants to give Wanda the gift of grief. Why? Because I think he feeds on her pain. And then he calls out her accent.
What happened to your accent?
What happened to yours?
Yeah, between Civil War and Infinity War, Wanda's Sokovian accent just kind of went away, though it has started to come back.
This will be your only warning.
I think the lost accent and the sitcoms are connected. Wanda might have spent those 2 years with Vision on the run binging sitcoms, and she might have started emulating the dialect of the characters she saw on screen. And it was that time that she is now trying to recreate in this hex. And then Pietro kinda explains how he got here.
I got shot like a chump in the street for no reason at all, and next thing I know, I heard you calling me.
Yeah, he's really kind of making fun of his own death in Age of Ultron, suggesting this Evan Peters Pietro is not the Quicksilver from the Fox X-Men movies, who would not know what Aaron Taylor Johnson Pietro's dying moments looked like, but rather this might be someone from this universe or beyond this universe who saw that death, but is now okay with mocking that heroic significance. Who does that sound like to you? So Ellis Avenue is kind of the border they're not allowed to go past. Could be a nod to the MCU president, Matthew Ellis, like maybe Westview just named a street after the president. Matthew Ellis was named named after Marvel Comics writer Warren Ellis. Ellis could also be a nod to Ellis Island, where in the first X-Men movie, world leaders gathered and were nearly turned into mutants from the nearby Liberty Island, thanks to Magneto, her dad. So we find out Hayward is tracking Vision's vibranium decay. Remember, Vision's vibranium was fused with living cellular tissue. So as that tissue decays, it could cause the vibranium atoms in the cells to radiate out. We see 4 circles in the bottom corner. Maybe those are for the different types of radiation. Maybe they're Infinity Stone related. I doubt it. Not everything multicolored is Infinity Stone. This one girl's costume is probably the late RBG, and Vision decides to revert to his Avengers form, and he uses the Mind Stone to do it. Interesting. It looks as though the further away people get from Wanda and the Hex, the less she's able to puppet them. Though notice, even after Vision reverts, he does keep his wedding ring. Now, Vision does not remember his Avengers history because he exists as a Hex creation of Wanda. He's free from the pain of everything that happened before, and that includes him just seeing himself as a husband to Wanda. But that manifestation does invoke his soul that he had before. That soul was good and truth-seeking, and that's why he ends up questioning this reality and is able to determine it's false. Now you'll notice Agnes's license plate reads 0A1B2C, which I did check. This is not the hex code for the color red. I don't know why people keep saying that. It's like a bluish black shade. I think it is significant because it does alternate 012ABC. And remember, Vision and Wanda's car in episode 1 was tagged 0102, so it may reflect how Agnes, by comparison, is literate in ways they aren't. But of course, Agnes is dressed as a witch. The latest smoking gun that this is probably Agatha Harkness. There's a lot going on here that's weird. While other glitching residents cannot even talk, they're frozen catatonic, Agnes can. And then after Vision zaps her awake, she still goes by the name Agnes. She doesn't have an alternate identity. It seems like she is more resistant to the Hex, maybe a product of it, and that is why Sword cannot identify her. Notice how she clutches her chest, she feels around. That's because she's looking for her brooch. If she is a witch secretly serving Mephisto, his soul could have previously been kept in that brooch. That would be her husband Ralph that she won't shut up about. The one who shares an anniversary with her that's the same date as the Salem witch trials. And that maybe now that Mephisto has taken human form, she just feels lost without him. And Agnes says this.
Am I dead?
No, no. Why would you think that?
Because you are.
Because I'm not.
Dead. 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 Dead!
It does kind of parallel that moment back in episode 3.
Came here because we're all what? What are you trying to tell me?
She came here because we're all...
Stop it!
Now, in that moment, Herb might have been about to say, because we're all dead, but you know, the ID wall does suggest Herb is a still living person. It could be that there was some inciting incident that did kill these people in Westview before their deaths were reported, and that now their souls have been resurrected in the Hex. Now that would pose some dark implications for the children now in Westview. Did Wanda resurrect a bunch of dead kids to populate Westview? Fittingly on All Hallows Eve, the night dead spirits walk the earth? Monica gets a text from her mystery engineer friend. Now, editor John was able to help me figure this one out. Take a close look at that, zoom in, flip it. I think we can make out a 5-word text. I'm something Hydra? Something, something, something? Maybe this engineer has some old Hydra tech that they're gonna use to make that vehicle? Anyway, for our theories on who this person is, check out this week's episode of Rogue Theory. I think we covered all the options there. So then Darcy tells Monica,
the energy inside has rewritten your cells on a molecular level twice. It's changing you.
yes, this implies Wanda's Hex might cause mutations on the DNA level in certain people. Perhaps certain other people in the MCU were born with genetic predispositions that when they are hit with this Hex wave cause mutations to get activated. And that could be how we get mutants in the MCU. Now, Monica herself is clearly being set up to become Photon, but her lack of surprise at her blood work and her reaction last week to the doctor suggests to me that Monica might have already been aware of her mutations. So then Pietro asks Wanda about how she made Westview.
You handled the ethical considerations of this scenario as best you could. Families and couples stay together. Most personalities aren't far off from what's underneath. People got better jobs.
You don't think it's wrong?
Are you kidding? I'm impressed.
Yeah, Pietro knows what these people were like before the Hex to compare it now. And he genuinely wants to know where Wanda got these kids from. Maybe because he is Mephisto and he had to use pieces of his soul to construct these two kids. And as we saw from Agnes last episode, these two are straight up mystified by Wanda's ability to raise the dead, even if it is inside Westview.
You can do that?
Then... So why does Wanda see Evan Peters' Pietro as a corpse the way she saw Vision when this Pietro was not the one who died? Well, I think this Pietro is warping Wanda's perception to further convince her that he is her brother. Because remember, Wanda did not see Pietro die. So he might feel like, I can get in here and trick her. I'm the one who died. I'm your brother. Forget how I look and sound a bit different from who you remember your brother to be. Because remember, as Pietro said earlier, his goal is to give her grief because grief enables gaslighting. Now, Hayward's encrypted file is Project Cataract. Now, this codename could correspond to vision, as a cataract is when a cloud forms on the eye that decays one's vision. Corpse Vision's eyes are clouded over as vision decays, thus cataract. Now, the names James Gadd, aka Jimmy Gadd, and James Alexander are Marvel VFX artists. We saw Jimmy Gadd in the credits of the last episode. Vision disintegrates as the hex pulls him back in, though the Mind Stone remains intact. I think this is because Vision's resurrection came from Wanda's powers, which were derived from the Mind Stone radiation. So as long as this hex is operational and Wanda is still alive, the projection of the Mind Stone in Vision's head remains, though Vision himself apparently cannot survive outside this hex. And yes, Vision's erosion is kind of like this shirt. This is our custom and unusual couple shirt. It's filled with Easter eggs that you can only find via augmented reality. You can get this at newrockstarsmerch.com, and we are doing a special sale this weekend for all you lovers looking to get that special someone a gift. 10% off all New Rockstars products. Just use the code VISIONTIMEDAY. newrockstarsmerch.com. Now, in the town square, the movie projector screen is showing George Romero's Night of the Living Dead, another possible clue showing us the way Wanda might be resurrecting the dead to populate Westview. And Pietro says,
"It's not like your dead husband can die twice."
Another sign of his meta-sentience, because Aaron Taylor Johnson Pietro died before Vision did. How would he know that he was dead? But ironically, Vision did die twice already, once when Wanda blew up the Mind Stone, and then again when Thanos rewound time to rip it out. And that first death that Wanda still feels super guilty over is probably what triggered Wanda's rage. She smashes Pietro through these gravestones. One includes the name Janelle Samelman, who is an AD for WandaVision. She also worked on the Fantastic Four. The epitaph, though, is a real detail. It says, "not on her side," which I think is a huge clue, pointing to the fact that Pietro is not on Wanda's side at all. There's also Rivas, which, you know, maybe Pietro's a kind of virus in Westview. Anagrams. Now, Wanda freezes the town, and notice this happens precisely in Night of the Living Dead when the Walker is breaking through the fence, precisely as Walking Dead Vision is breaking through the Westview border. And then Wanda's Scarlet Magic bursts out, expanding the hex. Hexpansion. It sucks in the sword camp, including poor Darcy. I love that Christmas Story edit there. It's something that confused the crap out of me as a kid because I didn't understand meta POV shifts, something that WandaVision uses liberally now. The sword camp turns into a circus, with the agents becoming clowns and mimes. See, whereas within Westview, everything was an archaic performative TV show, outside, everything becomes an even earlier form of showbiz and escapism, a big circus tent. And I love how one of these mimes does the invisible wall, because she's now trapped behind an invisible wall of Westview herself. The truck turns into a funnel cake truck. Funnel of love. Another reminder that this whole hex was based on Wanda's love for Vision. And the closing shot shows us Wanda's eyes as the scarlet glow fades. You can almost make out the shape of a person in that red glow, especially noticeable on the right eye. Again, I don't really think Wanda is doing this alone. Some other entity is in the shadows, enabling her, the true source of her madness. Oh, by the way, if you are interested in what we do at New Rockstars, we and our sister company, Social Blue Book, are hiring. We're looking for a social media manager. We're including a link in the description. Go check it out if you want to apply. We would love to bring you on the team if you're qualified. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at EA Voss. Follow New Rockstars. Subscribe to New Rockstars for all your WandaVision questions. Thank you for watching. Boo!